One day in 1823 at rugby school in Warwickshire, William Webb Ellis picked up the ball during a game of soccer, beginning the sport we know today as rugby football. Unfortunately, although a nice story, the myth of William Webb Ellis is highlighted by many journalists, including Michael Aylwin from The Guardian. Rugby is a sport that is played across many continents, including countries such as England, South Africa, Argentina, France, Australia, and New Zealand. Rugby is a complex and diverse sport with two main different branches that are both very fun to play. The first branch we'll talk about is rugby union. And in rugby union, the way you move the ball is you can pass backwards to a teammate, but the teammate must be in line with you or behind. Secondly, you can punt the ball up the field in the hopes that a teammate recovers it, or maybe just to clear your lines and get the ball out of the danger zone. And thirdly, and quite obviously, you can run with the ball. If you're defending, there are a couple main ways to gain possession of the ball. You can recover it during a rush, which is what is called when a player is tackled. An opposing player can go and grab the ball as long as he's on 2 feet. Now, if you're on the attack as well, people can come up, rush up and block these people off from the ruck. The tackle player must also release the ball if a defender tries to come over and grab it from him. Secondly, you can win it from a penalty, which either means you get a choice of kicking for the post, kicking it to touch and then gaining possession, or just tapping it and continuing play, or in a scrum for which is a bit less offensive, such as knocking the ball forward. Secondly, the rewards, like I said, for the penalty kicks include kicking for 3 points through a set of uprights that are at the try line, kicking to touch for a throw-in, or tapping the ball but continuing the game. There are a couple very common penalties. The first is a knock-on, which is if any part of your arm touches the ball and it goes forward, it's a knock-on and a scrum is given to the opposite team. Secondly, in and aside, doing a ruck, if a player doesn't go over the player from towards their try line, and you can say it comes in from the side, it's a penalty to the other team. Thirdly, failing to release. This is when a defending player has the hands on the ball, but the player on the ground refuses to let go of it. And fourthly, offside, which is when either you kick the ball or you throw the ball, the defender must be behind the imaginary line as a parallel line or perpendicular line between both sidelines and the ball. In rugby, there's also 4 ways to score. The first is a try, and it's the most valuable. This is when you run across the try line and place the ball on the ground. It is worth 5 points. Secondly, a conversion, which is resulting from a try. A player may place a kick through the uprights, but the ball must be lined up directly parallel to where the ball was touched down. Thirdly is a penalty goal. This is one of the options. After a penalty, you can kick through the uprights and you'll gain 3 points. Fourthly is a drop goal, and it's an open play, or it can actually be used as penalty, but it's a bit more wary and if they're going or not, so they genuinely kick from the ground. It's worth 3 points. You must drop the ball, it must hit the ground, and then you can kick it through the uprights, and it is worth 3 points. Now secondly, we're going to talk about rugby league, which is a less popular sport, but it's still very entertaining. It's a lot more action-packed, I'd say, and it is played in certain countries very popularly, like Western Australia, or not Western Australia, the whole of Australia, but also Northern England, which is where the sport was born, doing a north-south split. Most of the rules are entirely the same, but there are a few differences. Firstly, they allowed a different number of men on the field. In rugby union, you get up to 15, whereas rugby league only allows 13. In substitute, the rugby union allows 8, and the league allows 10. In the changing possession, in the attacking period, a team can only be tackled 6 times before being forced to kick the ball to the other side. This makes the game a lot more open as teams try to get down the field quickly. Secondly, there's no ruck, but a chicken scratch. This is the same sort of thing, but you must only use your feet to try and win the ball. And finally, there's a different point system. A try is worth 4 points, conversion is worth 2, penalty goal is worth 2, and a drop goal is only worth 1. In conclusion, rugby is a very fun and diverse sport with many different ways of playing, and it encapsulates millions around the world every 4 years at the Rugby World Cup.